Every year, the Nigerian government announces a national budget detailing how public funds will be allocated across different sectors. However, many Nigerians struggle to see the real impact of these allocations in their daily lives. Roads remain in poor conditions, hospitals lack essential equipment, and schools suffer from inadequate funding. Meanwhile, reports of inflated contracts, abandoned projects, and mismanaged funds continue to surface. Citizens often feel powerless in the face of these challenges. But budget accountability is not the sole responsibility of the government. It is a civic duty. By actively tracking how funds are spent, questioning suspicious allocations, and engaging with elected representatives, Nigerians can push for real transparency and ensure that public money serves public good. And tonight we'll turn our attention to the 2025 national budget, asking how can citizens demand transparency and accountability? Adejoke Akinbode is my guest for this evening, but she will join me much later. Remember, Ways is all about you. Yes, you are the one I'm talking to. You are the why in Ways. So be a part of the conversation every single day and add your voice to the discussion. While the government has outlined plans to prioritize security, infrastructure, education, and healthcare, the real issue is whether those funds will be managed efficiently or lost to waste and corruption, as we always see all the time. Now, to join me to unpack the 2025 budget, right, is Adejoke Akinbode. She's the Senior Research and Policy Analyst at Budget, and she's joined me virtually. Thank you so much, Adejoke, for joining me this evening.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to just ask a very, very, very funny question. You know, are we meant to understand the budget? Because I feel like every time they release a budget, it's like it is not meant for. it is meant to be kept complicated, so that many people would not question. Because if you cannot question what you don't understand. But are we meant to understand what a budget is? You know, when it comes to as it pertains to our country.
Absolutely. I mean, everybody is supposed to really understand the budget document as a whole. And it's just unfortunate that the budget document is very bulky. It's around 2,000 plus pages. So I don't blame anyone that cannot take his or her time to scrutinize what is in the budget. But ideally, in an ideal situation, every citizen document must understand the budget.
So when you say that, yes, in an ideal situation, every citizen is supposed to understand the budget, do we have access to that document as citizens? Because, you see, it's important that we build a foundation to this conversation so that when we now start to tell people that you can hold your leaders accountable, you can ask for transparency and all of that, then they now know how to go about it. Are citizens, you know, able to access the budget? And if they are, where is this place that they are supposed to be able to access those documents to say, okay, yes, they are also monitoring it?
Oh, yes, the budget that is accessible to everyone. If you go to budget office, so if you go to their website to see the budget documents there. Even past budgets, proposed budgets, approved budgets, everything is actually online for citizens to access. So everyone actually has access to the budget documents.
So if everyone has access to the budget, I'm just curious because, again, why are we not having intentionality in advocating that people should really go there. Well, that's why we're having this conversation today. But there's no much noise around the fact that it is important for us to, because you see, it seems like whenever we are talking about anything that has to do with national budget and all of that, as citizens, we just feel like it is for the politicians and for those in government, right? It doesn't concern us. And I keep on wondering why we have that disconnect. Why don't we have curiosity? Why don't we have people? Is it that we do not feel like we are part of what, I mean, the things that are on that budget affects us? Is it that that consciousness is not in us?
So I would say people don't actually have that consciousness to look at the budget, but it's discouraging picking a 2,000-page document to say, oh, what is even in this document? Not everyone has that time and the patience to even go through that bulky document. And moreover, a lot of people might not actually understand the technicalities in the document as well, and that is why you see organizations like budgets taking the pain to actually analyze those documents and break it down into simpler terms and figures that citizens can understand. So I think the only problem is that once people don't, a lot of people are already struggling in life. So talking about budgets, government budgets every year, when you know that, oh, people have lost hope. I would say people have lost hope, and a lot of people don't want to even hear anything about government budget. But if people can really take time to look at analysis that several organizations do on the budget, then they will be able to actually understand what the key important things in the budget. So I feel like it's just them having the little patience to look at analysis. I mean, if you go to several social media platforms, you see several organizations breaking down these budget documents into simpler times. And it's actually easy to understand once you just look at infographics, you see figures, then you know the key components of the budget.
Thank you so much for that, because honestly speaking, I'm on your document. The one that budget did is so easy, because I keep on saying that it doesn't have to be complicated, because there's an intentionality to just keep a huge number of people from looking at it. But with this infographics, right, that budget did, it's easier to say, okay, I can picture what it is that is being said. Because I feel like if there's any will within, I'm now talking about the government, for them to, if there's any will for them to be transparent about the budget, and they want the citizens to be involved with budget conversations and transparency and all of that, then they would also make the information, right, to be appealing to the citizens. I would not sit down and read a 2,000 document when I never read my book finish. I would not sit down to go and read that, right? So imagine if you are really serious as a government, to say, okay, you know what, I want the citizens to be involved, I want them to hold me accountable. Then they'll also make sure that the documents are done in a way that it is easy to just grasp the entire what the document is all about at a glance, using those infographics. So I would say well done to budget. So according to what I can see here now from the documents that you prepared, it says according to the budget office, the 2025 proposed budget is 49.74 trillion. The budget is to be funded by a revenue of 36.35 trillion, leaving a deficit of 13.39 trillion. Out of the 49.74 trillion, which is the proposed budget, 16.33 trillion will be used for debt servicing, and 14.85 trillion for capital projects. Recurrent non-debt expenditure will take about 14.12 trillion, while 4.44 trillion will be for statutory transfer. Can you please help me break down what this means? And now we go into what are the key issues, that you see in this 2025 budget. If we say, okay, the government is saying they want to boost the economy, they want to change the structure and all of that. From a budget, you can clearly tell where their heart is at. You can clearly tell if truly this looks like a game plan that can take our economy to a better economy, right? So from your own analysis or exposure to the budget, where do you think we should start to raise red flags?
I would say the first thing is to look at the capital expenditure. I mean, that's like the most important thing that's where citizens actually benefit from, projects that they actually implement in our community. So that should be the most important thing to citizens. How much is government allocated to capital expenditure. Because at the end of the day, if they spend a lot of money on overhead costs and current expenditure, then there's little left for them to implement projects in our society. I mean, you are just allocating about 29% of the total budget to capital expenditure. That is actually very, very low. So how do citizens actually benefit from the government at the end of the day? So capital expenditure is the most important thing for citizens to always look out for when it comes to budgets, to budgetary documents, because that is when you see them, projects we want to carry out in our communities, in our states, in our local governments. So capital expenditure that is where citizens actually benefit. And you also look at key sectors, how much do they allocate to key sectors, look at the health sector, look at the education sector, for example, and look at how much they are allocated to this sector. I mean, for this proposed budget for 2025, education has about 7%, healthcare has about 4.8 or thereabouts%. That is actually extremely low for a society like for our nation. So, and we have key education and health are two major sectors that government needs to, allocate a lot of funds into. That is how citizens benefit from government. So those are key areas that citizens need to pay attention to when looking at budget documents.
That's interesting. But you know, this thing, we've always said this thing year on year. We talk about the government having to invest more in capital expenditure. We always talk about putting money in healthcare. We talk about putting money in education. What if we tell them that they should not put the money there? Just make maybe infrastructures that can then support better earnings. I can go and pay expensive money for healthcare, is fine. But because, you know I'm saying this, because someone has said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? This is what we say all year on year. We always say that, oh, the government needs to focus on capital. And we keep saying that as the year goes by, they still do not focus on those capital expenditure. They always go back, you understand, to the same way they've been used to doing things, right? So will it not be wisdom if we too start to change our language? Let's tell them not to focus on on education and healthcare. I'm just saying it as just me thinking out loud.
If it say, okay, so let's tell them, can they focus or diversify these funds into, let's say, infrastructure? By infrastructure, I would believe that you mean works, power, transportation, water resources.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's something that should, add up, right? And that's because on a normal day, they are actually mandated to provide adequate infrastructure for citizens. So now saying, okay, can you, diversify our funds for, let's say, healthcare, education sector, into infrastructure? Is you like pouring water into a basket, because they already have the amount, or let's say percentage of the budget to allocate to infrastructure. They will come and tell you that, oh, they've added what is meant for the health sector, education sector to infrastructure. I believe that it's still the same percentage they have in mind for infrastructure that they will still put there. So I don't think it's a good ask, if I would say. It's not a good ask to say, oh, can you just use our money for infrastructure? Look at our infrastructure in the country. We're not really seeing much progress. Then you now want to say, okay, add more money to it. I don't think it's a good ask.
It's not a good ask. Okay, so let's talk transparency, Adejoke, because, right, whilst it is okay for us to publish budget proposal, the execution also has been a big problem. It often lacks very clear public updates. Do you get my point? I know organizations like Budget would always continue to follow the money and monitor it, right? But you see, if you look at it, past budgets, we've seen that there has been cases of misallocated funds. We still have huge cases of abandoned projects, and we're not even touching inflated contracts, right? So if we say we want to intentionally now start to push for transparency and accountability, how do we follow the money? How do we ensure that whatever it is that, okay, let's even say it's already a flawed budget, right? Okay, this flawed budget, let me even see you implement what you have, even penned down to say this is the budget. How do we go about that as citizens?
So I think the first thing for citizens is to we need to start demanding regular public budget performance reports. And I mean, we go to the budget office, they always release budget implementation reports every quarter. So if you look at these reports, you can see what has been implemented, how much has been allocated, and how much was allocated for a particular project, how much was released for a project, and also, and if as citizens, if we don't have access to this information, then you don't know the right questions to ask the government. So the first thing is to take our time to go through these reports. These reports actually, they're available to every one of us. So it's not some EiE document that you start saying, oh, how do I get this report? If you go to budget office, their website, you get the BIR every quarter. And you can also, beyond looking at, okay, now, if you know, okay, so this project has been allocated to my community, this is how much they've released, then you can take your time to go to these communities to actually, track government projects and monitor any irregularities you see, and you can actually report to relevant authorities. But a lot of people are not doing that. And a budget, that is what our tracker platform does, track government projects and see how much was released, where is the progress of the project. And we've seen situations where we call out, representatives of some communities saying, oh, this project is meant to be done in this community, but the contractor has abandoned it. And you see them maybe 2-3 months, the project will be completed because we actually call them out. So we've seen these things work. And another thing is that you cannot work in isolation. So you see a lot of civil society organizations try to, partner together, form a coalition to have a louder voice in demanding transparency and accountability from the government. So working together also, makes it more effective in some sort of way.
I was just going to say that, and you just hit the nail on the head, because I was saying that was fantastic. Now imagine how we can kind of scale that up, right? To make sure that it is not happening across different parts of the country. That means the truth is that the citizens must truly get involved, because budget cannot go and hire, you can't go and employ so many people, right? But imagine if we now start to take ownership to say, this is our project, this is our community, and every community intentionally monitors this project. Then it then speaks to the inflated costs, because again, we did a particular street in an area I had lived in, and I know how much that street cost us. So a project was done in another estate, but that was now done by the government, right? It was not the size of that, the meters, what do they call that, for the road. It's not, I think if you need to divide the road we built by 3 to get just that one road, or by 4 to get just that one road. And yet, the cost was 10 times what we spent, because we're spending from our own pockets. Different houses had to contribute money to be able to buy all the things, build the drainages, do the interlocking and all of that. The same interlocking and everything, but because it was a government project, right? That project cost like 10 times the amount that a longer, stretch of road cost us to make. So inflated costs, dubious allocations. Reports, of course, have shown that there's always been excessive spending on different things when it comes to government projects. So how do we check that? So we can check that they've not done the job, is abandoned. But how do we then check that that project should not have cost as much as they did?
So for that, it's actually very sad that it's bad that they don't even allocate enough funds for critical sectors like the healthcare sector, education, infrastructure. There's excessive spending on a lot of non-essential projects, and how citizens can actually take action for that is, the first thing is to actually, analyze the budget. So once you have the budget analyzed, you scrutinize the budget documents from the beginning to the end. You're able to, identify some areas of concern, and also you compare allocation of funds to the actual needs of the people. Once you have that information, then you can then say you want to advocate for maybe what we call reallocation of funds. You can demand that, okay, maybe funds for a particular project should be redirected to other critical sectors that I feel are more important and citizens will actually benefit more. You can say, oh, you don't, in this community, you really don't need street lights. or you don't have a functioning primary health care center, So it will be better to reallocate this fund, the funds for street lights to build or to make our PHC more functioning. So, but if you don't have the knowledge of the budget, you cannot do that. So the first thing in anything is to actually know what is in the budget, know what is supposed to come to your community, and then you demand reallocation of funds. And like I always say, the most important thing these days is the use of social media and traditional media. You can't amplify your voice. You cannot, demand for transparency and accountability from the government without the use of social media. You need to, you use social media to raise public awareness of about wasteful spending through campaigns, media engagement, even newspapers, and also there's what we call community development associations as well. So this can be formed within communities, and they will serve as a pressure group that can actually, develop what we call maybe a community charter to take to their representatives to actually say, okay, these are the needs of our communities. And one thing you will notice is that a lot of citizens only have access or feel they can only talk to their representatives every 4 years. I'm not necessarily every 4 years, I say election period. So when election is near, you see representatives going to communities, citizens that having meetings with them, and after election, they don't bother about them again till the next 4 years. So the communities can actually engage their representatives. It can be via email, sending letters to them, and you actually outline the needs of your community so that when they're actually developing the budget, they prioritize your needs first, before saying, oh, they want to add other projects. Because the truth is that they may actually feel, oh, we need our community to be lighted, street lights, we need pipe-bound water, but that's not what the communities actually need. Maybe there's no primary school or there's no secondary school in that community. Though I want to believe citizens will prefer to have a school that their children can actually, attend than street lights. So there's what we call needs assessment. So needs assessment needs to be carried out to actually know what citizens actually need, because there are needs and there are wants. So needs to be prioritized over
wants. Absolutely. Okay, so we'll take a break now, right? I mean, thank you for sharing that very important point to note. So for every community, you can actually engage your representatives and say, we don't need, because I think all of them just like to do road, because road is the easiest way for them to siphon money. But we'll take a break, right? When we come back from the break, we'll share more insight on how we can, of course, demand transparency and accountability, especially as regards our budget. Stay with us. All right, thanks for staying tuned. Now, Adejoke Akinbode is my guest for this evening, and we're having a conversation on the 2025 budget, right? Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-8663. Our phone lines are also now open. The numbers to call are 07025007749 or 07014242420. Let's hear what you have to say. Now, Adejoke, something interesting is happening, right, to me. So there's a particular building where I occupy as a tenant. And, of course, a bill was brought to us on service charge. And it seemed like it was a taboo for me to ask for the breakdown of how, the service, because, again, we had a very not too good service the previous year. So this year we said, okay, let us even have an understanding and clarity on what our service charge covers and how it's being spent, because we don't think, for what service charges are supposed to look like, we don't think, we're getting value for what we have paid for. This is a small building. Now, how do citizens, right, how do they really demand for this accountability? I give this analysis to say that in our small corners, we are not really particularly willing to be transparent, especially when there's money. They always say that, when you want to get the true test of one's character, right? Once they have money, you get the true test of one's character. So how do we track the spending? I know you said some things about creating communities, right? how do we start to intentionally monitor? So now, for instance, I've heard you say that communities can go and say, we don't want a street light this year. We want you to move that, allocate that fund to a primary healthcare center. The other day, a Aproko doctor came out and he did a video, a very, very horrible video of a primary healthcare center. That community is in dire need of a primary healthcare center, because if anything goes wrong, the first point that you should actually go to if there's an emergency should be the primary healthcare center. Most people are unable to go to their primary healthcare centers because it's in a very, very horrible state, right? So how do we as citizens, now if we say we want to intentionally do that, yes, we can call for those kinds of question those kind of things, but how effective will it be, and do we really have that power?
So next sense, we have the power, right? So you want to demand transparency and accountability from the government, and there are several ways in which you can do that. I mean, tracking government spending, engaging with elected representatives, use of media, like I said, to expose irregularities, and also participating in public hearings of this budget. And citizens can, like I said, you can use online platforms to actually, track government spending. And before you can say you want to track government spending, you need to have access to the budget documents to even know what is in the documents. And CSOs have made it easier for citizens now, so you don't need to go through the bulky documents. Just look for any CSO that actually analyze this budget, look for the analysis, and you see key spendings, especially the key sectors, sectoral analysis of the budgets. And beyond, once you already have an idea of what is in the budget, then you can follow budget tracking initiatives. You can use. There are several platforms now and several tools in which you can actually use to track government spending. Our budget, we have several tools. We have a tracker tool, the federal government budget dashboard. We even have one for the primary health care. We have the PHC accountability tracker, in which you can actually monitor how many PHCs are in Nigeria, how many are functioning, and the primary PHC and all of that. So citizens need to actually take the pain to understand the budget, and also have the also beyond understanding the budget, be intentional about saying they actually want to know how government is spending their funds, because at the end of the day, the funds belongs to each and every one of us, and we actually need to get value for our money. So, but if we don't say anything, governments we feel like, oh, they don't owe us any explanation. But if you actually put them on their toes, trust me, you might not get 100% of results, but little by little, you can see the difference. Also, like I said earlier, you need to start engaging your representatives. Don't wait for election period before you elect them. Attend town meetings. And town meetings actually provide, opportunities to interact with these elected officials directly. You express your concerns about budget allocations and, spending priorities. Like I said, if government doesn't, carry out needs assessment in our communities, we as a community can do that on our own and have an agreement that, okay, so these are our needs, these are our wants. We need them to, prioritize our needs. And you take this document to your representatives to tell them, actually, these are the needs of the communities. We need these ones to be prioritized over projects that they actually, insert in the budget. You can also, write letters, you can send emails to these representatives as well. I mean, you might not get direct response, or you might not get response as you should, but you need to try your best. If you don't even do anything, you won't know if you're going to, yield anything will yield results or not. So you actually need to put in the effort as much as you can. And also, you need to participate in public consultations as well. A lot of government agencies actually conduct public consultations on budget proposals, if we are being honest. But we need to be aware, and some of them actually, announce these things on social media as well. So that's why we need a lot of people to be active on social media. So we need to be aware and actively participate in these consultations. And this will actually allow us as citizens to be able to influence decision making as small as it may be, or as little as it may be. We can actually also influence decision making as well. And also, like I said earlier, the use of media is very, very important. Social media can be used to expose irregularities in our budget. You report suspicious activities that you feel oh, they are in the budget. One thing we do our budget is every year we take our pain to look at the old documents and bring out frivolous items. And when I say frivolous items, I mean you see a lot of ministries, agencies, in certain having projects
I
in
mean, there was
their
a budget that
line
was
items.
passed. I think it was Ondo that he said for phone call 200 million or something. I saw that story last week. Like,
And I mean, who does that? And again, you see ministries in certain projects that are not actually under their mandate, are not actually under their mandate. And so once we regard these criminals, you feel like, I mean, you see maybe Ministry of Transportation saying they want to build secondary school, and you are like, it doesn't
that's
correlate.
not your purview,
That's not your mandate, exactly. So that so those are suspicious activities, like I said. So you need to, use social media to actually amplify this information that, oh, anything you see, anything you find suspicious, report to journalists or anti-corruption agencies. And trust me, even if nothing is done, you know that you tried your best. Like I said, you tried your best. So any information you have shared with the media, social media platforms, we have a lot of them these days actually, and everybody sleeps on social media these days. So they will always see whatever you're talking about. And also you need to, participate in public budget hearings. So once budget is out, there's always public hearings, and a lot of people will just say, oh, it's none of
No,
my
but I was just going to
business.
say
Trust me,
to
it's
you,
our business.
Adejoke, all these things you're saying, they're really amazing, and it will help for transparency and accountability. But you're dealing with a group of people that is bombarded with everything, because it's almost like if I don't get up, some people need to wake up at 4 a.m. They don't go to bed till like 1 a.m. It's the same cycle, on a daily basis. Where would they have the energy? Because they are trying to just survive. You are in an economy where everybody is just trying to survive. So, yes, I get it that we need to be engaging, right? So I'm hoping that, honestly speaking, we can. But it is not going to be easy, I can tell you, because I know how hard a lot of Nigerians are working just to be able to put food on their table. So you not tell them to go and do what? I beg, let them be doing what it is that they're doing. So it seems like poverty, or it feels like poverty has been highly weaponized in the country, because that if I don't do this, something is going to go wrong. So I have to keep on trying and grinding every day. So when I keep grinding like that, I am busy. So I might not have the time to say I want to go and call one representative. But in case, you have the time, I know that Enough is Enough, their platform, shineyoureye.org, right? It is a very great platform where citizens can contact their lawmakers and demand updates on the funds, how they are being spent, and of course, within their constituency. They can also question representatives about abandoned projects and also suspicious allocations, it just helps to put them under pressure. I love the fact you talked about media and media exposure and social media. I was just going to ask you, what are the best platforms? So when you find those reports and everything, maybe you want to report something. It's not everybody that goes viral like an Aproko doctor or something. So who are the handles to tag? So if I see it, because I remember when Channels Television started that iReporter, it became everybody wanted to become a reporter. So I believe that maybe if we start to put in that consciousness, so somebody sees something, take a picture, tag this, oh, this road is bad, this road is this. Where are the handles on social media that we're supposed to be tagging so that people can then, pick it up and then take it and then, of course, follow up on the situation? Do you have ideas of any ones we could tag?
Yes, please, our budget, tag budget, tag tracker, especially tracker. Tracker is used to actually track constituency projects budget. So if you tag tracker, you track budget, then we will take it up 100% because it's what we actually live for. That's what we do. That's our work. And also, citizens, like you said, everybody is busy. People are actually trying to survive. So I don't expect people to actually say they want to start analyzing the budget and all, but any information they see out there, or if you just notice maybe there's an abandoned project in your community, please bring it out and tag us, talk to us. You can email us at info@budget.org, tag tracker, then we'll take it up. Once we have enough information about the project, leave that to us. We'll handle it to the best of our knowledge.
Adejoke said, leave it to us. We will handle it. I like that. So I like the call to action. And another thing, again, we need to visit shineyoureye.org. That is also the platform for Enough is Enough. And I think they have the chat box, that Office of the Citizen chat box. See, all these things are important because like you rightly said, or as you rightly said at the beginning of this conversation, in all fairness, we are programmed to do all of these things every 4 years. So once we do it during the election, we let it rest and we wait again for another 4 years cycle, right? But citizens are supposed to be conscious that governance is a continuum. Governance does not happen every 4 years. Governance happens every single day, right? It means that if you are not feeling that this representative or this person is giving you value for your vote, because our currency is our vote. We have voted, right? That is the money we spent, you know. So if you don't feel that you are being given value, that is why you are supposed to engage, you know, with these platforms that Adejoke had mentioned, Budget, Tracker, of course, and Shine Your Eye. So, you know, how do we, as we quickly wrap this conversation, Adejoke, how do we reprogram the minds of Nigerians to stop thinking 4 years? Because you see this thing about attending budget hearings and public discussions. I don't know where those conversations are. Where do we announce it? How do we monitor it? Where does it happen, right? So if I want to monitor that, okay, there's a public hearing coming up, where do I check to know what the calendar is like so that I can probably block off those dates in my calendar?
So when it comes to public hearing, the National Assembly actually put out a memo on date, time they want to have public hearings. And what I will say is that it's ideal for us as citizens to actually have an idea of what is in the proposed budget before we say we want to attend the public hearing, because it's very good that you've gone through the budget, probably you have a little memo that you want to actually pass to the National Assembly. But because everybody cannot do that, and that is why we have civil society organizations that actually do that on behalf of citizens. And what citizens need to actually do is look for these CSOs and probably follow their handle on social media so that any information they need when it comes to the budget, they can always get it from their social media handle, and they don't have to do any work in saying they want to start analyzing the budget as well. And as for, engaging your representatives, like I said, don't wait for every 4 years. You need to, engage them every time.
No, so you need to tell us why. Adejoke, tell us why. Because it's like, if you say you don't need it, they don't know why.
Because if you feel like, oh, I don't have any business with my representative, then you will not get value for your money. If you don't put them on their toes, they won't do what they're supposed to do. They will come in the next 4 years to say, oh, well, we do this, I will do that, vote for me. Then you vote for them and they disappear. But if you keep disturbing them, trust me, if it's just 1%, 2% result in a year, you will get it. Because they know that these people actually mean business. But if you leave them to do whatever they want to do, you won't get anything from them. So at the end of it, it's for our own good, it's our own benefits to actually, engage these representatives and put them on their toes. Because they're actually working for us. We employed them to work for us, whether you like it or not. And they are being paid for the work they are doing. And so we need to get, value for our money.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you so much. And that's a great way to wrap the conversation this evening. Thank you, Adejoke. You've been an amazing guest. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I would like to say that a national budget is only as effective as the accountability measures surrounding it. So we need to be intentional about tracking, the spending, engaging our lawmakers, using platforms. We've mentioned all the platforms. We've talked about the tracker service on budget. We've talked about Shine Your Eye. Keep on following those things, because if you track the spending, you engage your lawmakers, right? You need to understand that once you do that, they become accountable to you, and there'll be a lot more transparency that we're seeing. So you can really take charge of the public funds, and you can ensure that your budget serves its intended purpose. See, we can't keep on saying that Nigeria. Let me tell you something. Even if you put a saint as the president of Nigeria, what we have is a systemic problem, right? Civil servants, we have a systemic problem. So you need to be intentional about solving the problem from all angles, not just thinking it is one Messiah that is coming to change this country. Let us follow the money. Monitor the people that have been allocated a budget. Oga, what have you done with our money? Keep on asking those questions. That way, maybe by some chance, we might see something different in our country. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you to our guest again. And thank you to Enough is Enough, because our Mondays, you know, we specially dedicated it to partner with them, you know, for free, just to be able to bring quality conversations and bring that citizen consciousness, right? So it's important that you know what you need to do, what your role is as a citizen.